I mean, the possibilities are great. And I mean, the industry is ready for it. The consumer has been ready for it, and it's interesting.
Welcome to the American MedSpa Association podcast, Medical Spa Insider. This week, AmSpa founder Alex Thiersch is speaking with Ashley James, CEO of DermAesthetic Consulting and MedSpa Mobile Solutions.
All right, everybody, welcome to Medical Spa Insider. This is Alex Thiersch, and this is the AmSpa podcast, where we talk to entrepreneurs, business owners, providers, people who are in the industry about what they're doing, about the industry itself. So thank you all for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Today on the AmSpa hotline, we have the lovely and talented Ms. Ashley James, who is the CEO of about 8 or 9 different companies. She's an amazing entrepreneur. She's been doing various things in aesthetics for a long time. She's probably forgotten more about the industry than I know. Currently, she's the CEO of DermAesthetic Consulting and does a bunch of other stuff with training and some mobile med spa solutions, which we're going to talk about. And we're really grateful to have her on the podcast. She knows a ton about this industry. I think you're all going to really enjoy hearing from her. Ashley, welcome.
Hi, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. This is such an honor to be on the podcast. So
Oh
you and
no,
I go.
the honor's mine. We do go back. We go back a while. I mean, I'm trying to remember it. I mean, it's probably been got close to 10 years. No, 7, 8 years maybe when we first talked. I mean, it was a while.
Maybe you and I, but like
Yeah.
even Mike and I go back. I mean, I'm not even sure AmSpa was around when I met Mike.
Yeah.
So it was, I mean, very new to the industry, like back when there weren't really any rules and regulations, and everyone was just kind of, flopping
Yeah.
around like fish and figure out what to do.
Wild, Wild West, right? So let's give, I know you've been in the industry and you've been doing different things for a while. You've kind of started to reestablish yourself here lately with the mobile med spas, and you've been getting back on the speaking circuit and things like that. Tell everybody who's listening, who doesn't know you, what you do, what you're about, what you like to bring to the table, and why we've got you on the podcast.
Yeah, sure. So I got into this industry at a very, very early age. I opened my first med spa at the age of 23. So I was very fortunate to know exactly what I wanted to do. And then I did it. I started my career in the nursing field. I went to nursing school for a few years, realized that wasn't really my cup of tea. Now, again, that was before the industry really kind of merged into all of this.
Mhm.
And went back and got my business degree and very quickly knew that I was going to open a med spa. I owned and operated a variety of aesthetic practices for about 18 years and really just, navigated through an ever-changing industry. I had standalone med spas. I had med spas that had multiple locations. I did a plastic surgery, dermatology wellness clinic before wellness was kind of a thing. And then did a dermatology focused on cancer lesions and what have you with that. I dabbled in concierge medicine back in 2010,
Mhm.
before like mobile was really a thing. And that's really where my interest started.
Mhm.
I really burnt out in just the day-to-day operations, but I was really, really good at building a business from the ground up. Back then, I didn't really know that it was God's way of seasoning me for what I'm doing right now, but I'm just one of those really weird people that love startups. I love taking
Mhm.
an idea and going through the whole process and watching it become this living, breathing entity. And then I get really bored and I move on. So
Yeah.
I had a habit of starting businesses, growing them, and then selling them when I would have an opportunity. So when I sold my last practice, my goal was to retire, and then I launched the consulting firm. And so now what I do is I really take all of my education, my experience, my industry knowledge, and I help these physicians who are really good at medicine, but not really good at running businesses, put all the pieces together, making sure that they're doing things the right way, the most compliant way, and then set up for success.
Right.
As I got into that, then I opened up a school because I felt like there was a need for training. And then about a year and a half, 2 years ago, we launched MedSpa Mobile Solutions after COVID.
That's
So
I want to really get into that because I think people are going to be excited to learn about that. But before we do, um, a being a serial entrepreneur, I think that's, there are some people who just, that's kind of what they like to do, right? They just, the part about starting up a business, getting it off the ground. It's really the exciting part, I think, a lot of the times, but it's also exhausting. How do you continue? I mean, to me, that's the hardest part, right? So whenever I've launched a business, those first couple of years, you're running around like crazy. It's nonstop. The adrenaline is kicking in, sure, but it's also exhausting. How do you do that and continue to do it and get the energy to come back and do it again?
Everyone asks, I get that question at least once a week. I don't really know. I know that I'm very ADHD. I know that I can manage a lot of things at once because my brain is kind of everywhere at once. But I really, I would say how I'm able to do everything is I take everything day by day. I make a task plan. I know what the end goal is, and I just knock it out. Um, and I've made mistakes along the way, as everybody
Sure,
has, and I've
sure.
been able to pivot and learn from those mistakes. I don't know. I'm always looking at the industry. I'm trying to anticipate what's going to happen, and try to be prepared for that. And, always looking for a way to be unique and different. So
Yeah. So what, I mean, I love talking to folks who have been in the industry for a while because it's so, to me, it's always so interesting just to trace the evolution of the industry, how it started, where it's come from, where it's going. Well, you've been in it for a while. You took a step back. You're back in it. What drove you to get back in the industry? What do you love about it that brought you back? And as a dovetail to that, what do you see now that you didn't see or that's different from before?
Well, so when I retired the first time, now let me just be clear. I retired for about 6 months. It was
Mhm.
supposed to be long term, but I was just bored.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and
that
so,
happens to a lot of folks who try to retire.
but I was really burnt out of, the 10,
Yeah,
12 days running a business, wearing every single hat, being the provider. But what brought me back was just I saw a need for guidance. I saw a lot of med spas opening, a lot of practices opening and doing it the wrong way. I saw a lot of people getting in trouble for things that they just didn't know about. As someone who was one of the first non-physicians in the industry, in the Midwest specifically, to open a med spa, I really weathered those storms of the compliance rules and regulations. I had a lot of competitors that attacked me and filed
mhm,
malicious complaints against me. I mean, I was on the news one time, all for things that I didn't do, but because the laws and regulations weren't really chiseled out, it was kind of an unknown. So as the industry has really evolved, I see a lot of practices opening and launching and investing a lot of time and money and not doing it the right way. Thank God I had you guys and did things the right way, or my situation would have been a lot worse. But my heart kind of aches for those people that are just kind of
yeah,
in it and not knowing. And so that was bothersome for me. I also saw a lot of consultants that were out there that had never owned their own med spa and were
mhm.
giving guidance and advice, and great business people, but unless you've lived it, breathed it, invested your own money, taken your own risks, I mean, it's a very different situation.
It's
So
true.
I could really add that to the industry.
Yeah, you do, and you've been through a lot, and you've got some battle scars to show for it. Interesting what you say about consultants because I one of the first pieces of advice that I got, this was, gosh, 15 years ago. Someone said, "Be wary of consultants because until you've walked a mile in my shoes, you're not going to really be able to help me." And it was kind of the same message that you're giving, and that's not to say that there aren't consultants out there that can help and provide value, but I think one thing that folks need to watch out for. And what is valuable is to have somebody who's been through it and who's got those battle scars and who's built it up, who's been attacked, who's been,
Yeah.
tried to be dragged down, come back. The lessons from failing are almost as important as the lessons from success. So I think that's really cool. And I think that obviously brings a lot to the industry.
Yeah.
So, oh, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Oh,
Sorry.
I was just gonna
No,
say,
no,
yeah,
please go ahead.
yeah, I mean, I'm really good at sales. I'm really good at structure, but I would, with the whole compliance and all of that, I mean, I was very successful. And so that's why I was attacked. And so the goal is to be successful. So that's kind of if you're not doing anything, if people aren't talking about you, then you're not doing something right, is the way I feel. And
Yeah.
so I definitely was talked about.
So, I do want to get into that as well. I don't know, we'll probably break this into two podcasts. So if you're listening to this, Ashley has a very, very interesting and compelling story that I think is really helpful and necessary for the industry to hear. So we're going to bring that out. I do want to talk first though about the mobile med spa business that you brought up, because what I mean, I've seen mobile med spas around for some time. Obviously folks have been doing um, Botox parties, offsite parties since the inception of the industry. There have been folks who have dabbled and tried to do the mobile side. Yeah, I feel like it's something that nobody's really quite figured out yet, at least. But we're starting to see folks really start to kind of get the idea and how to do it. Um, we met, and you had come to me with, your idea. You and Michelle Palafis, who's a designer who we love also, and you had this concept, which you have these mobile med spas that are built from scratch. They are amazing things to look at, and I would love to get the story as to how you got into that. Like, how were you drawn back to the mobile solution? What's the evolution of that? And then we can get into where we think that's going from here.
Sure. Well, actually, Michelle is the one that approached me about it. She's
Okay.
my co-founder for MedSpa Mobile. If you don't know who she is, I mean, you know who she is, but for those of us
Yeah.
who are listening, she's the MedSpa interior designer of the industry. I mean, just knockout gorgeous facilities. And I've been working with her for a long time. With all of my startups, I always get her involved, and she does all of her spaces. And she came to me, and, she said, AJ, what do you think about this concept? We're always building out these facilities, but what do you think about a mobile situation? And I thought about it, and this was right after COVID, and a lot of clinics were shut down, but people were still kind of like under the table doing concierge medicine and going to people's homes. And so I did a deep dive into the market and really to kind of see what was happening. And I did see the industry shift. And so we thought about, again, a unique way that this would make it work. You have a lot of people doing their DIY mobile units and what have you. And my red flag in that situation is, are they compliant? Are these vehicles safe? Are they medical grade? Are they OSHA and all of that regulated? When they're going into their homes, are they protected? What's the medical malpractice look like? What happens? It just, to me, it was just screaming red flags, like, oh my gosh, it's just not okay. And
Mhm.
so we thought if we could add the business aspect to it, really guide mobile med spa owners in how to do the business the right way, but also how to drive business to them or drive to their business. Um, but also offer something that was really upscale, high lux, like you would in a regular aesthetic practice, but in a compliant way would it work? And it evolved, and it's been great. I mean, it's been very successful. What we've learned is that you can use MedSpa Mobile in a variety of ways. We have practices that build a beautiful unit to do satellite offices to drive their business back to their main hub, like plastic surgeons.
Right.
We
Right.
have independent nurse practitioners who are just wanting to step away from the traditional medicine and get into the aesthetics. And so it's just like a one-man stop shop, and we're building units for them. They're building their practice through mobile and then moving into a brick and mortar location. And then we have owners who have brick and mortar, but then have med spa mobile, concierge services that they've added to their practice. So we've seen
Yeah.
it in a variety of ways, and what we offer our owners is a business concept. So if they come to us and say, I want to do a mobile business, we'll really develop a business plan that's unique to them and really figure out, what is the cost going to be? What's your profitability? What is your market plan? How are we going to gain customers? And then how are we going to sell those customers? How are we going to set you apart? And I think that's what really has made MedSpa Mobile Solutions so successful is it's not just the design. I mean, it's all about the mobile unit, and we offer so many different styles of mobile units, but it's also, you have that business option and someone holding your hand and telling you how to do it.
Yeah,
If needed.
which is huge.
Yeah.
So I have a ton of questions. I think it's such a cool concept. First, you mentioned obviously the compliance aspect of things is difficult. But also just from the business side of things, having the mobile solution presents its own challenges. What's kind of the hardest thing that people have to deal with when they want to start a mobile business? And I understand there's different types. I mean, you've got the brick and mortar, and it's kind of, you can use it as a marketing tool, which I love. I think that's amazing. There are folks who are just doing purely mobile, right? What are some of the biggest challenges that's different from opening a brick and mortar store?
Well, I think it depends. So when you have a brick and mortar location, it depends on your unit. So we offer,
Mhm.
sprinter vans, we offer customized trailers, we do Airstreams, we do 16-foot glass body, 20-foot glass body. That's like what the hydrofacial tour was in. We do
Mhm.
coaches like what MSculpt is doing right now, or Cool Sculpt as well. So it just depends on again the business model. But if it's, let's just take an individual nurse practitioner that's doing, a sprinter vehicle, just a one
Mhm.
man
Yeah.
business, gaining that clientele to begin with is very difficult. If you drive the unit to every home and treat one patient at a time, it doesn't necessarily make sense. So when
Okay.
we have businesses that are just, starting up and it's just going to be one person running the unit, we really try to figure out, okay, can we partner up with co-op businesses? Can we, partner with businesses or salons that don't have your services, where you could go on certain days of the week or certain days of the month and offer a variety of services in a time. The parties is huge, but let's have organized and structured parties with intent. So, minimum people attendance, certain
Mhm.
deposits, what procedures are you going to be offering? And then also making sure that they're offering those procedures that are a high return on investment and not such a huge direct cost.
Mhm.
So it really just depends. But from a compliance aspect, making sure that you have the right permitting and the right approval in your state. So where people get into trouble is if they're running a mobile business, like in California, and you don't have a permit to do that, and then you don't have a secondary permit to run a mobile medical business, you could be fined and shut down. Other concerns that we have seen has been just like with in my state, it's called the DOT, but like the transportation, there's certain
Yeah.
permits you have to have. You can't just park anywhere if you have a larger unit. You have to have permitting from the city. So it has to be very well mapped out and planned to specifically where you're going to go. One of the bigger challenges, if you're going to be doing injectables, Allergan won't ship to a house.
Mhm.
So and it won't ship to a mobile unit.
Right.
So the
Right.
unit doesn't have an address. So you have to have some type of formal medical structure
Right.
for your supplies, for your compliance with some of these medical vendors and pharmaceutical companies. So we've had to work through that. We get really creative, and develop these relationships with some of these vendors so they know
Yeah.
exactly what we're doing.
What's the response been from the vendors? I'm curious, like Allergan and them. I mean, are they? Uh, I mean, again, I don't want you to get into too specifics, but I'm curious, have they been generally receptive? But obviously, you have to jump through certain hoops. You can't ship to a mobile unit, you can't ship to a PO box. You've got to have a physician, you've got to have all the corporate structure and medical structure set up correctly. But what's generally been the overarching response to this?
Well, Allergan is such a huge company. So if
Yeah.
I could talk to the CEO and, sit down with coffee with him and tell him my business plan, that would be ideal. But
Yeah.
that's never going to happen.
That's actually her, so you probably could.
But
You could
what
set that
I
up.
heard, there you go. So I will tell you the biggest issue is that Allergan is really kind of buttoned up their compliance on who they allow to carry their products.
Yeah,
So what
for
I've
sure.
seen just in opening brick and mortars the last several years is they want to see the website established. Sometimes they want the rep to come in and view the space before they
Yeah,
open the accounts.
yeah,
They want to make sure that you're legit. And I love that, honestly.
I do
But
too. Yeah.
it's difficult to do when you have a mobile unit. So
Right.
it's it's, you know, we've had to facilitate some of those meetings and conversations and share business plans and concept. And, you know, the rep is the one that's responsible for going back and, you know, opening the account and getting approval for that. So we haven't had too many issues with it, but we have had some hoops, like you said, that we've had to jump through.
What's the, are you finding more people being drawn to kind of having the mobile med spa and that being their business versus having it as kind of a place where they go and do events? Is there one that seems to be more profitable, more preferable? Is there one that people are drawn to more than the other?
You know, interestingly enough, when we launched this, I personally thought that the parties and the events would be more of a profit margin for the owners.
Yeah,
And I actually see it being pretty equally divided. The
really.
difference is that, you know, when COVID hit, the whole industry shifted. You know, before that, telehealth wasn't really a preference for your medical visits, and that industry grew by trillions overnight.
Yeah,
So it really trained the consumer to be comfortable with concierge. It trained the consumer to be our normal way of communication, whereas before, I don't think it would have been as successful. But that also opened up the doors for high end, you know, care. So if you're going to be doing just individual care, you know, place to place and, you know, person to person, you can charge a higher premium for your services. So if you're charging, you know, 12 to 14 units of Botox per Botox or per unit, you know, we're seeing people being able to do like 17 to 18 units because
right.
it's convenient, it's
More
concierge,
private,
it's
convenient.
personalized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What, I mean, you mentioned that it's tough to do kind of, one-off appointments, drive from place to place. Um, what is that, just because of the time it takes to get there, and it doesn't make it makes more sense to kind of double up or triple up or quadruple up when you have multiple people coming in? I mean, what's the economics behind that?
Well, I know from my experience what I'm a numbers girl. So I
Yeah.
want to know what my overhead is. I want to know what my KPIs are. I want to know really where my money's coming from. And I want to know where I'm maximizing, where I'm getting the most revenue. And so when I'm building and I'm growing med spas, obviously the goal is to be a multi-million dollar entity. And so that's my mindset with mobile as well. And so typically my rule of thumb when I'm doing a brick and mortar is I want you to be generating anywhere between, you know, $600 to $700 per hour per room.
Mhm.
And, you know, if you're just going place to place to place, let's just say you go and you have one person that just wants Botox, you know, we've all had those customers. I just want Botox here and I just want
Yeah.
it here and I want it here and here and here and here. And I only want 30 units, you know,
Right.
so
Right.
can't
Yeah.
have 30 units, but you have the, you know, if you're going to do a concierge and your total revenue for that visit is $500 or $600, it's just not enough. So
Right. Right.
it has to be very well planned. You have to have a good strategy in place, know what your numbers are going to be and how you're going to achieve those numbers and just follow that plan. If you just kind of do this like off the whim, like I'm going to buy this unit, I'm going to do this and just see what happens, most likely you'll fail.
Yeah. Huh.
I
That's interesting.
also Yeah, I also will tell you that to open up a mobile unit, a mobile business is what I have found is about 32 to honestly 40% less of an investment than a brick and mortar. Um, I have opened med spas from ground up with as
Mhm.
little as $500,000 to the owner's
Mhm.
name, which I would not recommend. That's very difficult to do.
Mhm.
But I would say the average for my customers is about 700 to $850,000. Google will tell
Mhm.
you that you need 1.5 million to open up a med spa. There's other consultants that will tell you to.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily believe in that. I mean, I can, if you give me $1.5 million, I will open you the
Yeah.
most beautiful med
Well, it
spa.
depends what you want to do, right? There's so
Right.
much that goes into that.
Right.
Well, I mean, I would love to, if you're comfortable with it, I'd love to get into some of the costs of these things, because that would be my concern is, I mean, I see it as an incredible marketing tool as a way to make money offsite. If you plan it out like you said, I think the benefits are extraordinary. And I'm just thinking, like, if you have, whether there's an event or something, to have your brand out there sitting there is such a good way to bring knowledge to the community that here you are, here's what you're doing. But I would be nervous about the cost. Like, how much do these things, like, whether it's a Sprinter van or a big ass bus, whatever it is, to me, it's like that's the cost would be overwhelming. And I know you offer additional services, but let's talk about, like, what do people have to, if someone's out there driving their car, you know what, I want to do this. I'm a nurse practitioner. I want to do a mobile a mobile branded Sprinter van or whatever it is. How do you walk through them with the cost and how much it's going to be, and how they start approaching it?
Well, I always start off with brick and mortar. So I outline that if you're going to rent a space or lease a space, most people lease their spaces, they don't own them. You're going
Mhm.
to be spending anywhere from, what we see is about $100 to $150, depending on your demographic, on your build out cost per square foot. So if you have a
Mhm.
3,000 square foot facility and you're, let's just say right in the middle, $120,000 a square foot, with your plumbing, your electrical, your furniture, your finishings, your build out,
Sure.
all of that, and you have a 3,000 square foot facility, you're investing $360,000 into just that space that you don't own. And then when you outgrow that space, you have to walk away from that investment. So
Mhm.
with a mobile unit, you purchase these and it's an
Mhm.
asset. It becomes essentially a write-off to a certain extent. And
Mhm.
as you outgrow your unit, you can trade it in, you get value for that with us, and then you can upgrade to a larger vehicle. With our Sprinter vehicles, you're looking at about, the base price for a Sprinter can be anywhere from $70,000 to $160,000, depending on the
Okay.
model and if it's a larger wheelbase, if it's higher extended cab. With the build out, you're looking at probably around like $250,000 for a Sprinter business.
Okay.
Um,
And that's full. That's a Sprinter van that's fully built out with
that's
the
fully built,
chairs, everything, right?
chairs, lighting. I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, you've seen it. We had it at the AmSpa
Yeah.
show and at the Aesthetic Next show, and it was, and I mean, people were just, wow, I can't believe this is a med spa. And that's the
Yeah.
point. You want your clients to walk into it and feel like they're in a very upscale luxe environment, as
Right.
if they were in a brick and mortar. Then we have like a 2 station or a larger unit. This can either be like a customized trailer that you have somewhere, like kind of like a pop-up.
Mhm.
You have two
Mhm.
different stations, or we can do, a larger step van that can have two different stations in there for two providers to work at the same time. You guys have seen the hydrofacial bus, as well as the hydrofacial glass and body, where it was just there's a 24-foot glass body vehicle. Everybody
Yeah.
could see inside. And then we do like a nice little reception area outside, and it's beautiful. That one typically, your glass body is going to range anywhere from like 300 to 400, give or take a little bit.
Wow.
And our
Okay.
coaches are, I mean, there's a whole, we have 17 different types of assets that you can choose from.
That's
Our
awesome.
coaches are around like 800,000 to like 1.5 million. So it
Yeah.
just,
I keep wanting to figure out how we could roll one of these into the exhibit hall at the medical spa show, because I think it would be so cool. But there's a tons of reasons that we haven't been able to do that. But
yeah,
the way these things are set up, I've only seen the one that you had when we were, I can't remember where that was, in Dallas, I think.
yeah,
And it was awesome. I mean, it really was a really cool thing, and it kind of blows you. I mean, you can kind of envision it, but you can't envision, you have to see it, right? You've got to
yeah.
actually step in it to see it.
Right. And that's another question that people, why would my customer want to be treated in a unit? I'm like, have you seen the unit? People, it's almost like a celebrity thing, like roll out the red
Yeah.
carpet, people want to be treated. I mean, I think we had a line at the Aesthetic Next show that
Yeah.
had like 40 some people in line just to get a treatment in it. Allergan rented it out. Evolus rented it out. We had trainers, Allergan trainers coming in and oohing and eyeing. I mean, it was gorgeous. And that's what we have found too, is that when you buy one of these units and you have your business and you're driving around town, that's free advertisement. So
Yeah.
people are spending less. And we've got some really cool ways to drive business to the units and get attraction, get customers in your area attracted to it. But Yeah, it's been really cool. People are excited to get treated in it, and it's like the next thing, it's like when flying cars happen, everyone's gonna want one.
Flying mobile med spas, that's what it's going to be.
Yeah, there you go.
You mentioned there are some things you can do to kind of drive business to it. And I know what you offer is not just, okay, here's the mobile med spa, go, you're fine. You offer support and additional services. What typically comes with these packages? What are you offering in addition to just, I would say, brick and mortar, but obviously it's not the mobile set. And then what are some things and some tricks that you do to bring people into to get people to come to the mobile med spa and to recognize it? I'm envisioning like, a festival, right, where you roll it up and you get a lot of visibility there, but I'm sure there's other things that you do as well.
So I've thought about everything on every type of revenue stream that a traditional aesthetic practice would have and how we can mimic that on a unit. Now, retail is a huge aspect for a med spa. It's about
Yeah.
20% of the revenue. And so how do we have retail on a mobile unit? You can drive around, it's going to fall over the place. So we've
Mhm.
partnered with vendors that we have created a system that you can do the facial consultation, the skincare plan, all from an iPad, and then essentially drop ship your products to your patients within a day. Same thing like when we're doing, peptide therapy or medical weight loss, we're doing a lot of the telehealth, and we're setting customers up on membership so that they're, doing the telehealth, even though they're not coming to the mobile unit every single month, they're still doing the telehealth, they're drop shipping their semaglutide or whatever peptide they're on, and still getting that revenue that way. And one of the units or a couple of the units, we're putting tracking devices on them and building websites where your customers can go to the website and say, find Susie's Med Spa, whatever. And you can find out where Susie's at and, either go there or schedule an appointment at that
That's
location.
awesome.
So we've been real creative on how customers are going to find you. For the women who have husbands like me who are thinking, I don't want a tracking device on your vehicle. I don't want someone to come get
Right.
you, kidnap you. Some of the units, have security inside where you can kind of see what's going on. If something like that were to happen. So a lot of security with the units so that when they're locked, nobody can
Yeah.
break in, alarm systems, your traditional stuff. But those are just some of the solutions that we've come up with is, the retail solution. We've partnered with some really great vendors that are on board with MedSpa Mobile, the pharmacies and companies like that.
So
So
what comes with, so if I want to buy a Sprinter van or whatever, what do you offer with that? Are there different options? Can I
yeah.
rent it, or is that not an option? Or can I just buy it and get, just a kind of a turnkey solution? What other services do you offer with it?
I mean, really, it's up to the owner. If you
Okay.
just want the vehicle and you just want the design and the build, we can do that. If you want some business services incorporated into that, we've got a couple different packages. So business plan, a financial pro forma, websites, lead gen and marketing. We even have a program
Mhm.
called Business Builder where we build the website, we do the lead generation, then we have a dedicated actual aesthetic professional managing those leads, nurturing those leads, and booking appointments on behalf of the customer because
Okay.
they're in a full unit. They're treating patients individually. They don't have time to follow up with leads and book appointments. So those are services where we can do all of that for the business and essentially like a virtual assistant to help them run their practice while they're treating patients. We do and are just now getting into leasing these vehicles.
Okay.
So with that situation, you would pick out your asset, whether it be a Sprinter or a Coach or a 16-foot glass body. We build it out and customize it to your brand and your business. And it's a monthly lease situation. We have customers that do trailers. So where there's no vehicle attached to it, and we can come in, we call it our activation plan. We come in with our team, we set it up for you. And if you need to pick it up and move it somewhere else, we'll come and do that for you as well. If you are running a Coach vehicle and you
Mhm.
don't want to drive, or you're doing a tour like what Hydrofacial did, we have an
Mhm.
activation team where you'll have a driver and a crew to set up the vehicle, manage the vehicle, and all you have to do is come to the vehicle and practice. So we
Yeah.
have a lot of different solutions based on the business owner's vision, and I love helping that vision come to life. I mean, I'm very creative, and every business is unique. And again, I get off on that's my high. I'm like,
Yeah.
let's see what we can do.
I mean, my head is spinning from the different thing. I mean, it's such a cool concept, and it's still I mean, it's still relatively new, right? I mean, there hasn't been a ton of people who have been doing this for a long time. I'm curious kind of what we're seeing with med spas that are now being acquired. Like, what's the end game for this? Are you doing it just to do it, or is there a way to potentially scale and sell?
For the
Do we know
owner.
yet? Yeah, I mean, do we know yet? I'm kind of curious. It's still relatively a new concept, right?
Yeah, I will tell you, I just had a customer who shared her actual numbers with me a few weeks ago, and I had created a pro forma for her med spa unit about a year and a half ago. She didn't launch until last April,
Okay.
and by December, she took the entire month off because she had hit all of her revenue goals for the year, and she exceeded the pro forma by almost $40,000. She generated
Wow.
over $950,000 in a 7-month time frame. So now
Wow. Just from the mobile unit itself.
yep, yep. So
And how many folks did she have working with her? What providers?
her and one part-time nurse.
Okay.
And that part-time nurse wasn't anticipated until next year. So she was, when I build out financial performance, I'm very conservative. I'd rather under promise and overachieve than tell you you're going to make $2 million your first year and then that not happen.
Yeah.
No, there's other people out there that will sell you a book of dreams, and that's just not reality. But now we're in talks for her to move up to a secondary unit. She wants the 16-foot glass body 2 station. And I'm like, I think we should do the 24 if you're growing this fast, because we can do this side can be IV therapy. You can have multiple people going at a time. You can still have a station. And so it's really just building out that expansion plan now. So
Yeah.
the end game, I don't know. I mean, I have clients who are in talks right now who want to have mobile units all over their community. So instead of
Yeah.
having multiple locations, they have multiple mobile units.
That's so exciting. I mean, seriously, I think it's such a cool idea. I'm excited for you. I'm excited for Michelle, obviously, who's amazing. Where can folks go to check? I mean, do you have like a place where they can check out the different models and stuff? Like, where's the best way to do it? Because I think I
Yes.
would love to like get some of that up on our site too, so people can
Yeah,
see
I
it.
would love to have you out to our facility.
I
So
love it.
all of the magic and all of the design happens in Illinois. Michelle does I mean, she's amazing. You can go to
Okay.
medspammobilesolutions.com, just kind of check out the business, but we build everything in Dallas, Texas.
Okay.
And anytime that anybody is kind of contemplating, we invite them out. We can do a tour of all of the vehicles, all of the assets. We have over 200 assets on in the lot to look at and review. We have other customers that have leased and returned, and different styles of businesses that you can see. When you schedule a strategy call with us, we'll send you our deck, which it's about 60 pages, and there's so many vehicle options and examples of what we've done. And it just helps to really visualize what the possibility is. So it's more than just a vehicle. I mean, when you
Yeah.
see these, it's like, I didn't realize that was a vehicle. That is
Yeah.
amazing. And
No, it
so
is. Once you're inside, you don't even know you're in a vehicle, really.
it's a really cool concept. It's an affordable way to really get started or expand your practice, but it's a unique way that really kind of makes your competition non-existent. I mean, there's a med spa in every corner, but there's not a mobile unit in every city. So it really helps owners set themselves apart and kind of get
Yeah.
an edge on their competition.
It's exciting. And I think what really draws me to this industry, what's continued to get me excited about this industry is that, there's folks like you and Michelle out there who are innovating and changing. And that's kind of what's so exciting. We're still on the ground floor, right? We're still just getting started. And to be able to have some of these ideas, you can create, you can do whatever you want. It must be exciting for you to be a part of.
It really is. And, being back from the day, when we
Yeah.
didn't even have Facebook or anything like that, we had to advertise on 2A of the newspaper. It's been really cool to see how the industry's evolved, all the technology that has come out. I'm a laser girl. I love laser technology and have I mean, I just love it. And just seeing how that has evolved too has been really
Yeah,
cool.
for sure, for sure. No, the technology side, just I mean, the number of choices out there. I meant to ask, are there options, or is there a plan for options to just be able to rent for a particular event as opposed to
Yes.
leasing 6 months to a year?
Yes, we are just getting into that, and we have that ready to go. We literally launched that less than 2 months ago. So yes, if
Okay.
want to do a specific event at the AmSpa show, or if
Mhm.
you want to go to the Iowa State Fair, or someplace like that, we can build out a custom vehicle, and we can have a team there for you so that you can just do your thing, and
Yeah.
manage the vehicle. But absolutely, yeah, or do a tour like Hydrofacial did, or
Yeah.
MSculpt done. I mean, yeah, we've done
I'm
it
just
for men.
thinking, like, I'm from Chicago, and in the summer there's these festivals. Every neighborhood has a festival every weekend, and there's just the brand recognition and the marketing you get out there just from having your van or trailer just sitting there for a weekend at these things. I mean, it's got to be just an incredible response. So it's so
Well,
cool.
you can even go beyond that. I own the National Med Spa Training Institute too. And now I'm looking in building my own like custom training coach bus that then travels from city to city and has, these fast track training programs that we offer instead of having everyone
Sure.
come to Denver. You could do it with your AmSpa shows, your little boot
Yeah,
camp.
I trust me. The wheels are spinning.
Yeah. I mean, the possibilities are great. And I mean, the industry is ready for it. The consumer has been ready for it. And it's interesting. I wasn't sure that this would be the preferred way for business when we
Mhm.
first started looking into this. And I mean, it's been great. So
Well, so let's definitely schedule a time where we can bring down, our video team. We can walk around and look at some of these things and talk to you and Michelle about it. I think, you're both amazing, inspiring women, and it's cool what you're doing. We will have you back. We're going to run out of time here, so I'll give you the last word, and we'll let people know where they can find you. What's the best way to reach out to you? But we will have you back and talk about kind of your background and some of the battle scars, because I think those are important lessons for folks to learn. But we're gonna have to do that another time. So, give you the last word. What's the best way for folks to reach you and find out more?
my main company is DermAestheticConsulting.com. You can call me at like 833-432-2669.
Everybody call.
But everything is on that website. There's links to
Okay.
everything. And I go by AJ. People call me Ashley. People call me AJ. It just depends. But yeah,
Okay.
Dermatology Consulting. That's where I'm at.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much again for your time. This has been so cool, and we'll have you back. And I'd love to get you and Michelle in together too, because I
Yes.
think to kind of see your team, both of you again are incredible, and it's so exciting to watch you guys grow. And I think the sky's the limit for what you're doing.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity to chat today and kind of share what's going on. And it's always great to talk with you, Alex.
Of course, you too. We will talk to you soon.
All right. Sounds great. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for watching the Medical Spa Insider podcast. Please make sure to subscribe to our channel for future videos and podcasts. For more information about the American Med Spa Association, please check our description below.